Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show.
Anthony Bourdain once said, "There's a guy in my head, and all he wants to do is lay in bed all day long, smoke pot, and watch old movies and cartoons. My life is a series of stratagems to avoid and outwit that guy. Who is that guy for you, and what do you do to avoid him?" I hate mornings. I don't like waking up. I don't like breakfast as a genre or activity. I don't see a good reason to be anywhere ever before 10 a.m. I started forcing myself to wake up early and go to the gym before work. And I hate it so much, but it makes me feel so goddamn good all day long. It's a pretty healthy dose of morning endorphins that stops me from getting sleepy after lunch, keeps me energized after work, get a better night's sleep. It sucks so much, and it sucks even more that it improves every aspect of my day, because now if I stop, I know I'll just start having pretty bad days again, and it'll be my dumb lazy fault with a simple fix. I hate exercise so much. I know it keeps you healthy, but God, at what cost? Whenever I have had a gym membership, I get signed up with a routine, but I always end up doing an hour on a treadmill until I'm tired, then use that as an excuse to go home. I have no upper body strength, but at least I can run for a while. On sunny days, I slap on some jogging shoes and go to a local park that is also a bird sanctuary. I play biologist, pretending I'm discovering birds in their natural habitat, and monologue to myself. I'm not out for a run, I'm playing biologist, and it's different. God, I hate running. That guy wants to settle for anything out of fear of nothing better coming later. That guy is okay with the dead-end job, the abusive relationships, and no master's degree. I tell that guy it's never gotten me anywhere. It's the definition of stuck, and I have no intention of being stuck anymore. And I have no intention of being stuck anymore. That's what I like to hear. Keep on keeping on, my man. That guy's kicking my ass right now. You gotta fight back, man. He's a lazy stoner, he can't be that good of a fighter. This was somehow insanely philosophical to me. Are you stoned? Stoned cold sober. Sobriety is a trip. High on life. I used to have a little sign on my desk that said, "The worst possible feeling is when the person you are meets the person you could have been." It was there to encourage to pursue my goals rather than procrastinate on games, Reddit, etc. I think it's time I dug that sign out again. Ouch. Worse than that Ben Franklin quote, "A man can die at 25 and not be buried until he's 75. Man, funeral companies were hella inefficient back then. Had those funeral directors been the funeral directors they could have been, I bet folks could have been buried much quicker. It could also be the best feeling in the world, when you realize how screwed up you aren't. Carl Jung said, if we deny the shadow self, we only feed it. This made me think of my mother. She was abused as a child and repeated such onto me and my sister, as well as other cruel things. I have the backstory of a villain. That's who I could have been, who I should have been. I'm supposed to be my mother or my sister, who didn't handle their abuse well. I'm not handling it well, either. I have PTSD and memory loss, but I don't break the law or hurt people. I'm not them. So, when I see the person I could have been, I pat myself on the back. I grew up with 2 narcissistic adults and one who was completely codependent, negligent. I have spent over 12 years in therapy dealing with PTSD from their abuse and negligence. You know what keeps me going? My therapist telling me I am the last stop. I am where the abuse ends. I am my family's agent of change. Looking back at my family history, there is generation after generation of abuse. That was always the case, until me. Up until people like us were born, no one in our family was strong enough to change. No one had the power or the courage to withstand the abuse and not become it. So yes, you should definitely pat yourself on the back, and know that even on your worst day you are still not them. You're a fighter. You are the last stop. The abuse stops with you. You get to take what was meant to harm you and destroy you and completely alter the course of your family line. Sending you massive hugs of encouragement. We came to an agreement and take turns occupying the same body. It's me from 5:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. And he gets evenings, weekends, and holidays. For me, we haggle on hours, but overall, we both realize we need each other. I went through a period of ignoring him entirely, but it turns out that wasn't quite healthy either. Fair compromise as long as it stays like that, I say. I've been trying to negotiate some extra time in the evenings for working out and or hobbies, but he says it will cut into his 4-hour gaming sessions. Edit, you've all given really good advice. I think we're close to reaching an agreement. Being completely serious here, calisthenics. They're easy, you don't gotta have weights or any other workout equipment, and you can just do like 20 squats and push-ups a day and see decent results over time. Also, get Guy to watch Naruto. When he sees Lee drop his weights, he'll wanna start working out more. Good plan, I'll bring it up during our next meeting. In his defense, I use up most of the daily energy reserves that we were supposed to share during my shift, and by the time his shift starts he has very little to work with. I have the exact same guy in my head. I quit smoking pot years ago, before I hit 30. I can still stay in bed all day on some days. What keeps me from doing it? Having a 24H lay-in on my laptop. Too often are commitments I've made to myself, friends, and employers. Back in the day, pot made it really easy to give up on those commitments. I miss pot, but I don't miss those times in general, which keeps me from going back. Precisely, you've said it very well. For me at least, getting high just made me very content with doing absolutely nothing. Which is fine sometimes, but I was high all the time and then doing nothing, all the time. I was so bored and boring to myself that I had to quit smoking and other drugs completely. It's only been a few years. It still feels like a work in progress, but I'm getting happier with who I am. I like Randy Marsh's quote about it from South Park. Well, Stan, the truth is marijuana probably isn't gonna make you kill people, and it most likely isn't gonna fund terrorism, but, well, son, pot makes you feel fine with being bored. And it's when you're bored that you should be learning some new skill or discovering some new science or being creative. If you smoke pot, you may grow up to find out that you aren't good at anything. I have chronic severe depression, going 25 years now. It's not completely clear what I have, but it comes and goes, not sad, not bipolar, not MDD, we simply don't know, and medication doesn't work. However, it's never really gone, it's more like manageable or unmanageable. The voice is either telling me I should lie down and just give up, or it's telling me that soon I will be lying down and giving up again. My manageable moments are obviously filled with as much joy as I can pack in there, and every night before going to bed I tell the voice to suck it, today was my day, not yours. When it's unmanageable and the voice tells me to give up, I try to fight him as long as I can, and when I start to agree with him I always manage to end it with, but not today. It's kept me alive for this long, I hope I can keep going like this for a while. It's horrible how our own mind can play these cruel games with us. I always remind myself that it really doesn't matter. In the end everyone dies, and in the end the solar system will blow up and the memory of us will be gone. Who cares if today I make a mistake and people see it? We all try and fail. We also try and succeed. I have a tattoo that says, focus on the positive. That's what I try to do as much as possible. I did something similar when my daughter was born, crazy early and sick. She lived for 11 months and spent the whole time in the hospital. When my wife went in for a C-section, I wasn't allowed due to it being full sedation or some nonsense. I just sat by myself in the pre-surgery room waiting like an idiot, not sure what to do. So I imagined old school 1990s Wolverine sitting there with me just for the company. I remember asking him / myself what the hell I was going to do. You know, that angry, scared state you get into. I remember what Logan / I told myself. There isn't anything easy about this. You are just going, you have to stand strong the way I showed you. And you ain't alone, bub. You okay? I'm crying right now typing this from just the memory. Funny how things get to you. Still, I hope he would be proud of me, as I never ran away or quit or anything and did my best. Probably sounds kind of stupid, but it helped for whatever it's worth. Might get buried, but my dude in my head is literally Mr. Spock from Star Trek, and I don't avoid him. Hear me out. I discovered through therapy that I needed a mechanism for judgmentless and objective self-analysis, and Mr. Spock is that dude. He can see the most fucked up space shit ever and react calmly and objectively. Mr. Spock, the massive space blob, has a 97.454% chance of consuming the ship and everyone inside within 4/7 minutes. Projections show it will be slow and painful. Kirk, that's horrible. Spock, yes, it is not ideal for our continued survival, but its actions are entirely within the nature of the space blob. So, whenever I get spun up on something in my head, I imagine a mini Spock in my head with a science terminal that can pull all data about me. Me, Spock, science report. Spock, data shows that Godspeed Metal is 5.8 days from quitting smoking tobacco and is under great mental distress from the change of chemical intake. He isn't consciously aware of it, but he's attempting to make up an excuse to get gas on a half tank in order to create an opportunity to buy a pack of cigarettes. Me, thank you, Spock, sounds like I'm being dishonest with myself. I suck. Spock, I disagree. It's entirely within the nature of a nicotine addict to seek out a source of nicotine intake. This is neither good or bad. Just natural. Data also suggests that conscious awareness mitigates the chances of nicotine intake by 89.45%. You've yet to procure a nicotine source as well. Commendable. Just going through that mental exercise will help knock me out of a mental spun-up state, help sort out emotions, feelings, all that stuff, into a parsed, objective, and most importantly, non-judgmental way. This mechanism has helped myself so much. However, I'd offer a couple of words of advice if you are intending to take on this method as well, because it can be a frustrating mechanism to employ if you don't have your expectations set correctly. 1. Spock's reports will be amended, appended, referenced and reworked entirely. This is all part of the process. Even Spock had several times where extended analysis was needed to understand something in order to create a way to cope/overcome/what have you. Don't treat everything he says as immutable truth. His analysis is only as good as the data he is able to receive through that mental science terminal. Your initial reports will upgrade that terminal for stronger analysis in the future. 2. You will fail, as well, and that's totally okay. He's analyzed far more for me than just smoking. Everything from anxiety, struggles with work, and interpersonal relationships has been reviewed through that science terminal. But sticking with the smoking report as an example, recognizing that getting gas was just an excuse to get cigarettes didn't come from a single analysis, but was referenced from a prior science report, as at one point I had quit smoking, went to get gas a few days later and drove away with a pack of cigs in my pocket. Spock reported, Godspeed Metal formulated a reason to create an environment that allowed his weakened will to procure a source of nicotine. Further analysis shows that nicotine addiction is extremely subversive to Godspeed Metal's psyche at a subconscious level. The strength of control the addiction exerts upon his mind is quite strong. Fascinating. Spock doesn't judge me, it all is what it is, and I respond, that is fascinating. My mind is stranger than I ever thought possible. However, I am more in control because I now recognize this pattern of behavior. I believe that this can be identified at a later point if I do this again. Thank you, Spock. That failure to stop smoking at that time was an opportunity to learn about myself. And FYI, I'm several months smoke-free and still going. 3. This isn't to make someone an emotionless logic machine, either. Spock understands human nature is an emotional experience. Humans get horny, sad, happy, angry, depressed, excited, all of that stuff that comprises the human condition. It's all part of the logic of being human. Take that into account, yet strive to be aware of your humanity and make conscious decisions on what you do instead of subconsciously reacting emotionally. 4. Trust your intuition. Your instincts have been developed over millions of years of evolution. Your mind is powerful and can subconsciously recognize threats and boons to your world and yourself. Even if you don't understand why your guts are reacting the way they are, don't dismiss it. Run it by Spock, and if you don't come to a satisfactory answer, you can always revisit later when you've more experience, time, and data.
If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.